Well, that's the power of gratitude in your life. When you extend gratitude into your life and into other people's lives, they ripple. They ripple outward, and they are impossible to stop. It's a very powerful thing. Give of your time, give of your kindness, give of your energy, and you create these lasting ripples that reach far beyond Thanksgiving and reach into all the days of your life, all the moments. And you make people in your life feel seen and feel valued, and you inspire them to give in return and to demonstrate gratitude in their own lives. How cool is that? It's a contagious thing. It's impossible to be around somebody who's living in that way and not have it rub off on you.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Welcome to the Strong by Design podcast show. Coach Chris here. So glad that you've clicked on this episode, and I'm grateful for you. I'm going to be talking a lot about that word today, grateful or gratitude. We here at Strong by Design, part of the Critical Bench family, are just so happy, so joyful, so grateful, so appreciative of all of our fans and followers and people that have been part of our world for the last 25 plus years since we started in 1999. Obviously, the podcast isn't as long as that. It's been, but we're 7.5 years of recording shows for Strong by Design, and it's been a really fun ride. And annually, typically, we do a Thanksgiving Day special episode. Oftentimes, it's a conversation with another person or a guest. Today, it's a message from me. I hope that some of the things that I say today get you thinking and reflecting and feeling all of those good feels that Thanksgiving brings. Because I know for me, it's truthfully like my favorite time of year. The month of November in general. I have such great memories my whole life, whether it was just family gatherings, football-related things, being with friends, winning a championship in high school with all my best friends, the weather change. Now that I'm in Florida, it's even better because it's that time of year where you feel the humidity dissipate and that cool weather, that crisp air comes. But even up north in Connecticut, where I'm from, the same kind of thing. It was before the harshness of the winter and past, and kind of the best time of the fall, just after the leaves change color and usually before much snow or anything's falling. But you get to break out all your fun warm clothes, and I don't know. It's just there's so many great feelings and memories, and hopefully I'm stirring up something for you about the month of November. But it's certainly a time where I like to reflect. I like to recognize all the things I'm thankful for, all the relationships that matter, all the people in my life that matter, because ultimately that's what life is all about. It's the people in your life, the people that have gotten you to where you are today, and the people that you cherish and stay in contact with, or the people that maybe you're not staying in good contact with but need to start. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to happen, a text or a phone call that needs to happen, maybe an email, maybe a letter, handwritten letter, something to initiate, because so many times we're maybe living in a place of unforgiveness, and we need to be the first ones to reach out to somebody. I'm certain there's somebody in my life that I could be doing a better job of touching base with or reaching out to. And these are the things that matter most, the relationships, right? In our last years of life, what are we going to be thinking about or wishing we had more time to do? We're going to be wishing we had more time to spend with people that we love. And it's not about the possessions. It's not about the things. It's not about the material. It's about the experiences and the memories and the relationships with those people who were instrumental in our lives. And so that's what this message is all about today, really. And I just thank you for joining us. Of course, on the podcast here, we have a lot of episodes, a lot of great Thanksgiving type episodes if you go back and listen to those, but certainly just all things body, mind, and spirit. Obviously, if you've been a listener of the show, you're very familiar with all the different areas we kind of cover on Strong by Design. And, it's just such an honor and a pleasure for me to speak from my own experiences, and but to learn from so many of the amazing guests that we've had on the show over the years. Just fabulous people I know really well, people that I've maybe only met the one time that I had them on the show, but they had something to say, something worth listening to. And I think today that's certainly the case. Thanksgiving, as I said, isn't just about food and football and family, but it kind of is. Certainly the family part and a little bit of the food part. If you're not a football person, then that's fine. But, certainly this time of year is great when it does come to high school, college, pro football. It's a meaningful time of year for that. So in saying all of those things about family and food and football, I'm going to make a little bit of a pivot. And I want to talk specifically about a book that I read years ago that Mike, the owner of Critical Bench, has everybody who works here read. Typically in their first year or so working for the company. I read it many, many years ago, but it stuck with me. And the name of the book is Give and Take, and it's by Adam Grant. And it's a book that'll really make you think about the type of person that you are and the type of people that you do life with. And it's a really good book to reflect on, and it's a quick read. It's not a big, thick book. It's a quick read. You'll probably read it in a matter of days. I'm sure you could do an audiobook version of it if you wanted to, but it's a quick read. And the book, Give and Take, teaches us that success isn't just about what we achieve in life, but about what we contribute in life, especially to other people. Being the type of person that's a giver who gives, and gives not to get something, but because that's just the type of person that you are. And I think that's a really super important attribute for us in life, is to give without the need to get. You give because it just feels good and it feels right. And I think we've all had those moments. We've had moments, I think, even where we've wanted to give and maybe we didn't. But we felt like if we could go back, we'd like to redo that. Sometimes we hold back from our giving nature. So the book really focuses on the three types of people in life. As I've said, givers and takers, but then there's also another category called matchers. So I'll give you a quick description of these types of natures that we are and that we encounter in our life. Takers are focused on personal gain. So these are people that are looking into any relationship or any environment that they're in, and they're looking, what can I get from this? What can I get out of this? How can this benefit me? When it comes to Thanksgiving, that might be the easy for me to say. It might be the person who's thinking, what's on my plate? What is there enough food for me here to eat, right? And just takes big scoops. That was me, I think, at a certain stage of my life. I'm going to take as many mashed potatoes, as much stuffing, as much turkey, as much whatever as I can get without consideration for the other people that are there. Is there enough food to go around? Maybe I'll just take a little bit and just make sure everyone else gets some, and then I can always go back and get more. So that's a taker. Matchers are people who kind of live by the fairness model. I'll help you if you help me. I'll pay for this if you get the next round, right? I'll get this round, you get the next round. I'll get this meal, you get the next meal. I'll mow your yard, you got mine next week. That type of thing. Not necessarily it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad person. That's kind of how they operate. They're always, they want to do for others with the expectation that something will be done for them in return. And then you get the giver. And I'm going to break this down even more because there's different types of givers. Givers are people who typically lead with generosity. How in this moment can I add value? How can I make this person's life better? How can I make this group of people's life better? What can I give of myself? How can I be of service to other people in this environment without thinking, what will I get out of it? How will this benefit me? They're really considering everybody else's life, everybody else's feelings, everybody else's path. They're putting others before themselves. So how do I connect this giving mentality, this giving approach to gratitude, the word I said kind of at the beginning, living in gratitude or being a grateful person? Gratitude fuels giving. And giving deepens gratitude. I think these are things that are coming right from the book. And it's cyclical. So when we focus on appreciation, we naturally become more generous people. When we are focused on all of the things that we're grateful for, it obviously can shift our whole demeanor. It can shift the way we operate in life. And typically, you operate from more of a place of generosity. How can I be more giving to people in any situation, any circumstance? And so the real insight here is that the most successful people are often givers. However, they're strategic givers. They're not doormats. They're not just giving of themselves so freely that they're just getting absolutely taken advantage of or trampled on. So that's why I got to break this down a little bit more. So in the book, Adam Grant talks about Otherish giving, the power of Otherish giving. What is that? It's giving that's sustainable. So he distinguishes between selfless or a burnout approach to giving compared to otherish giving or sustainable giving. So I think this is a quote from the book. Otherish givers care about others, but also protect their own energy and goals. That's either a quote or a paraphrase from the book. And I'll add to that. So how do we tie this to Thanksgiving Day boundaries? Even during the holidays, giving doesn't mean overextending yourself. It's about being present, generous with your time and your words and your gratitude, but not draining your own cup. So you're pouring into others, but your cup is still being filled too. You're still being poured into from others. So it's cyclical. That's the beauty of giving the right way, is that when we give of ourselves in a way to not just do it blindly, where we're just pouring into others to where we're just left empty, and we're no good for anybody at that point. We're pouring into others in a way that's just so gratifying that it's restoring us and refueling us and refilling us and keeping our cup from going empty. And that's the best way to live. I'm not saying that that's me always or ever or some of the time or most of the time. Or I'm saying, when you're in that mode, you can feel it. When you're doing it the right way, you feel it. I would say a lot of my life I was probably more of a matcher, not a taker. I don't think I've ever really been a taker type. I care too much about other people to be a taker. I care too much about how other people feel, and that doesn't fit with me. But I know I've been a matcher in my life, for sure, when I was younger. And I think as I've gotten older, I've become much more of a giver. Certainly with my time and my energy, not necessarily monetarily. And that's something I have tried to donate and tried to give, and but I think when it comes to giving of your time and giving of your passion, giving of your love and your energy, that to me carries more weight. That's even more valuable. Certainly monetarily, people need money. I mean, have I stopped and seen somebody on the street panhandling and given them money? Absolutely. Am I, or given them something, a bar or water? Yes. Many times. And little moments like that feel good. Have I seen somebody that was looking for a handout and I didn't give them something? Yes. And then sometimes I've thought I should have, or maybe it was an inconvenience for me to do, so I didn't do it. There are quick, easy moments to be able to give without looking for anything in return. And there are much harder moments where giving of yourself takes a lot more, requires a lot more. And maybe we second guess, or we think about it, or we give ourselves an easy out. So ultimately, we do have to consider things sometimes in certain moments, environments, certain people, relationships. Is this a worthy opportunity for me to give? Not necessarily what am I going to get out of it, but what's this going to cost me, right, in this moment? Physically, what's this going to cost me? Emotionally, what's this going to cost me? Time. How much time do I have the time to devote to this? So let's look at this actually now from long-term implications, long-term impact, that giving as a success multiplier, I believe as Adam refers to in the book. Generosity as a driver of long-term impact. So you're living a life filled with moments, specific moments of giving back, of generosity, of being generous, of going all in, of giving of yourself to others or to a cause. And what that can do for your life long term. So Grant, he has data in the book and shows that givers build richer networks and deeper trust with those that they deal with, those in their sphere. And I'm pretty sure this is a quote from the book. When you lead with generosity, you don't just build relationships, you build reputation capital. What is that? Well, your reputation is pretty darn important. Reputation is built on your character, right? There's lots of people out there, because of bad choices, bad decisions, they have some character flaws, and that hurts their reputation. I would be one of those people. If I'm quick to anger, or if I'm, got a real crappy attitude about something in a moment, and somebody sees me overreact or be a jerk, be an a-hole in a moment, that is that doesn't reflect well on me. That's a hit to my kind of my character, and that hurts my reputation. Especially if I maybe get away with some of those here and there, right? People give you passes on things in life, but if it's a recurring thing, that can be hard to overcome. That can be hard to overcome, that reputation thing. But on the other side of it, if people see you regularly giving of yourself, of your time, of your energy, of your passion, of your love, of your kindness, of your money, of all of those things together, that becomes a very powerful vehicle for you that is sustainable long term. Not just for you personally, but for your reputation. And now, so when people think of you, they think of all those moments that they have witnessed. And you have great reputation capital in the bank with all those relationships that you have in life. So how do I connect this to Thanksgiving? Well, this is the time of year, as I said at the beginning of the year, that a lot of reflection, I think, happens for people with family gatherings and memories and experiences. Remember that your greatest assets aren't your achievements, they're your relationships. That's what I said at the beginning. What's the most important thing in your life, or things in your life? It's not stuff. It's not possessions. It's not a nice watch. Yeah, I love my cool Tissot watch. It's the nicest watch I own. And it costs a lot of money. And I only have one like it. And it's really cool. And it would suck if I ruined it or broke it or lost it. But how much more is my relationship with my wife and my children and my neighbors and my coworkers and my dear friends and my brother and my brother's family and all the people I interact with? How much more does that matter? You think I'm going to be thinking about this watch in 50 years when I'm laying in a bed maybe somewhere? Hopefully in 50 years I'll be 99 years old from the day of this recording. If I live another 50 years, I'm 99 years old. I have lived a darn good life. And if I'm surrounded by people that love me, generations of people that love me, I got everything I need, right? That's Thanksgiving, dude. So I'm challenging you to ask yourself, how can you be a giver? How can you give first from this, in this day or in this week coming up, during this holiday season, as we finish 2025? How can you give better to your family, to your team at work, to your community, to your neighbors, without expecting anything in return? Be an otherish giver. Be a giver that doesn't just give so freely of themselves that they have no boundary, giving without boundaries, giving without some kind of care for their own well-being. But it's not giving to make sure that you're getting something out of it. It's giving in a way that's replenishing, that's able to restore you, refuel you, and fill your cup back up, or keep your cup filled. Don't give at the cost of yourself being empty. So that being said, gratitude being like one of the most powerful emotions that we have as human beings. It really is. When you're living in gratitude, you are not upset. You are not depressed. You are not anxious. You're not sad. You're not angry. You're not any of these feelings and emotions that we typically don't want to have, but are part of the human experience. So we're going to have them, of course. But when you're in a state of gratitude, that's how I try to finish every day. When I'm in bed at night, and I've mentioned this in past episodes, when I'm in bed at night, the last thing I typically do, not every single time, sometimes you lay in bed and you're so wiped out you just fall right asleep. Most times I lay in bed, I thank God for my life. I thank God for my home, for my wife, for my children, for their health, for the life I've been given, for the relationships and the friends and the family I have. And this takes seconds to do in your head, right? In your head, you can think all these thoughts and so quickly, right? As the things that you're grateful for just flash through your brain. And I typically end with some type of prayer, something scripture. I have a lot of scripture that I've memorized over the years, and I typically lean into that. Maybe it's the Lord's Prayer. Maybe it's Philippians 4:7, which I'm going to be talking about. Maybe it's I'm going to be talking about in a future episode, that is, for Christmas. What is that for you? What's that prayer? What are those words that you like to lean on in those quiet moments? Whether that's early in the morning when you first wake up and the house is quiet and you have your cup of coffee and you maybe like to pray. Maybe it's in the middle of the day when you are getting a reprieve from work. To break up your work day, you kind of take a little 15 minutes, 20 minutes to yourself to maybe read the Bible or to just meditate or just clear your head, get your eyes off the computer and just sit in silence or go for a walk outside and get some sun. What are those things that you kind of say to yourself? And it could be a prayer. It might not necessarily be a prayer, but I like to think that if I have a moment, a quiet moment, I like to look up. And I like to think that my Creator is present and listening. And I want to let Him know what I'm grateful for. Because without my wife and children, my life would look and feel so much different. And I'm sure for you, you have those people in your life. And without them, you almost feel like life wouldn't be worth living anymore. And so that's what we need to be grateful for the most, right? So what are some ways then that we can live in gratitude? We can thank be thankful for this life, the abundance that we have, the blessings that we have, the people that are in our life. Well, one thing is you could write them down. You could have a journal. I have one. I think it's in my drawer right here. I've had moments in my life, years in fact, where I was really good about practicing my gratitude in journal form, where I just write about my day and typically write about things that I'm thankful for, or blessings in my life, or just little moments. And it's fun to do, to jot it down and go back and read those things years later. It's always a good time. So I do highly recommend doing that at some point in your life, even if it's not super consistent. Maybe it's something you do once a week or a couple times a month, but over a period of years, those things add up and could be really neat one day for your children or grandchildren to come upon that journal. That's one great way, but maybe another is just simpler. Maybe it's just while you're driving or commuting to work, or on your commute home, or first thing in the morning when you wake up, or first thing before you fall asleep, is to practice that gratitude with just a few words. And as I alluded to before, I do that consistently before I go to bed, and I fall to sleep peacefully. The stresses of the day, the anxiety in your life, all of those things that we concern ourselves with, maybe some debt that we have, right, or unfinished business, and What are we going to be able to do about it at 10, 11 o'clock at night when we're going to bed? We can't do anything about it at that time. All we can do is to try and give it to God in that moment, to let Him carry the burden for us, and to get a good night's rest, because that's what we need. Sleep is a vital part of our existence. We need that rest. And in order to fall asleep peacefully, I find that gratitude is the best path. So be grateful for all those blessings in your life and those people in your life. And if those are my last thoughts and I don't wake up in the morning, I'm fine with that. Don't fall asleep stressed. Fall asleep with a smile on your face and a roof over your head, hopefully, and food in your belly and people next to you or in your home that care for you. Think about those things. Be grateful for them. So here's some just thoughts as I kind of wrap up this topic. The ripple effect that this has, right? I've talked about the ripple effect in past episodes with other guests and other topics, but the ripple effect, if you think about a beautiful lake, think about being at the side of a lake, a beautiful lake, and it's morning or it's dusk, and it's motionless, it's like glass, and you have a small pebble and you throw the pebble out. What happens? Well, that pebble, that teeny little pebble, will create ripples in the water. Ripples that don't stop. Ripples that expand out across the whole surface of the water just from that one little pebble. You've caused all of this movement. Well, that's the power of gratitude in your life. When you extend gratitude into your life and into other people's lives, they ripple. They ripple outward, and they are impossible to stop. It's a very powerful thing. So give of your time, give of your kindness, give of your energy, and you create these lasting ripples that reach far beyond Thanksgiving and reach into all the days of your life, all the moments, and you make people in your life feel seen and feel valued, and you inspire them to give in return, to be more grateful and to demonstrate gratitude in their own lives. How cool is that? It's a contagious thing. It's impossible to be around somebody who's living in that way and not have it rub off on you. Just like it's impossible, if you're running with the wrong crowd, for them not to have an impact on you and you start making bad decisions and doing dumb stuff, right? It's the same thing. So make smart choices. Be around the right people. Or be that person for somebody else, right? This Thanksgiving, don't just count your blessings, but be someone else's blessing. Be someone else's blessing today, tomorrow, and hopefully for many years to come. You know, I was thinking when I was putting my notes together, you know, is there a moment in my life that I can think of where I was the beneficiary of someone else's gratitude, someone else's generosity, where they made a big difference or shift in my life. And I think there's just been so many of them, in small ways, medium-sized ways, and big ways, things that people have done for me without looking for anything in return. It's really hard to single one out, but I'll be darned if I can't recognize somebody in this moment. So I'm just going to reflect right now as I'm thinking about this about someone that can come to mind that's worthy of recognition, of my gratitude in this moment. I think one of the most powerful experiences of my life, experiencing someone else's generosity, someone else's kindness, that impacted me and is unforgettable, is witnessing my mother and my sister-in-law taking care of my dying brother, who was dying of brain cancer. And my mom, who lived in Florida, my mom's been gone for 9 years. She essentially moved up to Connecticut where my brother lived and lived with my sister-in-law, Jen, and my brother, taking care of her dying son, who was at home with a brain tumor. His condition was, worsening by the month. And I think it was about August or September of 2012 that she moved and was living full-time in Connecticut and through March of the following year into 2013. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So I'm off a little bit. That's 8 months. She gave of herself in a way that I'm sure any parent would want to do for their own child. Obviously, no parent wants to see their child go before them. And my mom was so strong in that moment, having already dealt with some of her own health issues, but overcame that in order to be strong for my brother and for my sister-in-law, who needed a support system. My sister-in-law is an angel to my brother, and just taking care of my brother Dave on a regular basis. And my brother Bob and I would come up from Florida regularly, as often as we could, to help out and to be with him in those final months. And but to be witness to givers, true givers, is very powerful. And obviously, I'm grateful for my mother, and very grateful for my sister-in-law, Jen, for the love and the commitment to my brother, who is in heaven, and I miss him very much. But I'm grateful for the 42 years that he was on this earth and the impact that he made in other people's lives. My brother was a success multiplier. He was a ripple maker. And he gave of himself very much as well. And so, trying to hold together. I knew if I gave it a moment, I could truly think of a moment that made an impact on me. So I hope you've seen that kind of giving in your life, and that's what I want from you in this episode, is to reflect and to see that moment and that experience for what it was and how powerful it can be, how meaningful it can be in your life. So be that kind of giver for somebody else. That's my wish for you on this Thanksgiving Day. Thank you so much for being part of the Strong by Design podcast. I'm going to try and get it together here. And hope you enjoy time with friends and family. And family matters. Enjoy it. Enjoy every moment you get. And we love you. We thank you. And we'll be back next time, hopefully with a slightly less emotional topic here on Strong by Design. God bless you. Talk with you soon. Coach Chris. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.